or how did this issue develop across the period since 1945 in Japan? Very roughly speaking, until the early 1970s, the comfort women issue was not a major public issue in Japan. It wasn't a part of public discourse, not completely absent, but not a major part of it. This changes fairly significantly in the early 1970s. In 1972, Japan normalizes relations with the People's Republic of China. This opens up a lot of experiences and documents to particularly Japanese journalists. Honda Katsuichi is a journalist who was one of the first people to report on wartime atrocities in China. That's in 1972. In 1973, there's a book that's published called Military Comfort Women. It was made into a film the next year. So really from the early 70s, comfort women and other wartime atrocities become part of people's consciousness and public consciousness. At that time, however, it was not really the source of international dispute. This begins to happen in the early 1980s when there's reports that the Ministry of Education is pressuring textbook publishers in Japan to tone down history, presentation of 20th century history in the textbooks. This sets off a diplomatic incident. This continues in 1985 when Prime Minister Nakasone visits Yasukuni Shrine. That sets off the first diplomatic incident surrounding that issue. So in the 1980s, there's sporadic mention of these issues, comfort women along with other atrocities, and it becomes more of an issue between East Asian nations. But it's really in the early 1990s that the comfort women issue becomes major news and a major topic for research and debate. And this is the result of the first public testimony given by a comfort woman, Kim Hak-soon, which then emboldens many other comfort women from Korea and beyond, from many different countries, to step forward and tell their stories. This is where we see the explosion of research and the debates around the history of comfort women. In 1992, so the next year, Yoshimi Yoshiaki, a very well-respected Japanese historian, announced that he had found documents showing the involvement of the Imperial Army in setting up comfort stations. That announcement immediately causes the government to announce that it's going to do its own investigation, and it's based on that investigation that the government issues an official apology, the Kono statement, named after the cabinet secretary Kono Yohei issued it. The same Yoshimi Yoshiaki goes on to publish a major book in 1995. He also publishes an accompanying document or a bibliographical guide that's 500 pages long. It's a list of bibliographic sources that he used. The Asian Women's Fund, which is sort of set up to compensate former comfort women, publishes a 5-volume set of materials in 1997. Totals about 2,500 pages. Basically, there's no shortage of documentary evidence about this issue. There's no documentary evidence of any kind of this. It's not true at all. And it's interesting that much of the interpretation of these documents is not disputed either. For instance, the imperial military managed a large network of comfort stations and kept them filled with young women. This is not disputed even by conservative Japanese historians. In many cases, women were supplied by dealers, human traffickers. This is also not disputed. The women working there were tricked, lied to by human traffickers. This is not disputed either. Many women were working in a form of debt bondage, meaning that they were working technically to pay back a loan that had usually been given to either the broker or their parents. This is also not disputed, and I should mention that this was illegal under Japanese law at the time. It's also considered a form of slavery today in human rights discourse, of course. Interestingly, the stuff that is disputed is the stuff that, if you're listening downstairs, seems the most obvious, that it was coercive. And this is disputed because many of the conservative Japanese historians who work on this, including Hata Hiko, whose name came up if you were listening next door, basically do not accept testimonial evidence of any kind. So all of the testimonies of former comfort women, all the testimonies of decommissioned Japanese soldiers who have corroborated many of the things that are taken as fact by others, these are just not acceptable. Where there is disagreement is in terms of numbers. The low estimate is 20,000. The high estimate is about 200,000. I think Chinese historians have come up with an estimate of 400,000 recently. There's also, again, disagreements about this issue of coercion and the degree of responsibility that the Japanese army has for that. The reason, again, is this denial of testimonial evidence. And another reason is that the discussion focuses almost entirely on the moment or sort of the process by which people were recruited into the system. It doesn't matter if they wanted to leave after they had arrived at the comfort station. That's not considered force or coercion. The discussion, the dispute focuses on this moment of transaction right at the beginning, which in my view is a very odd and limiting focus. Further, it's argued that because the army itself was not actually making the contract or doing the recruiting itself, but were brokers, that it doesn't have direct responsibility for sort of nefarious transactions that happen. Yoshimi Yoshiaki, who's a historian, has aptly pointed out that the entire system of comfort stations was set up by and for the army. There wouldn't have been traffickers, there wouldn't have been comfort women at all if there hadn't been this system. So in that sense, the responsibility clearly lies with the existence of the system itself. So from the mid-1990s, to come back to this kind of time, this review of the post-war that I'm doing, come back to this is kind of where the debate stood at the end of the 1990s. There's disagreement over this select group of interpretive issues. But even so, after about 2000, comfort women fades away from public discussion quite markedly. And it comes back with a vengeance in 2012 when Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is elected. And he has a number of initiatives to kind of revisit aspects of wartime and post-war Japanese history, one of which is revisiting the Kono statement and this issue of the comfort women in Japanese history. During the past year, I want to note that this is also along this idea of speech. In Japan, during this past year, the media environment has become very toxic surrounding this issue. The most well-known illustration of this is an Asahi newspaper reporter, Uemura Takashi, was accused in the media of having falsely reported on the comfort women issue in 1991. And over the past year, he has been subjected to really ruthless harassment, both on the internet and in the mainstream media, including threats to his family, a campaign to drive his daughter to suicide. His reporting has been investigated and it holds up to scrutiny, but in the meantime, he's lost his job over the issue because the university was getting threatening letters and phone calls. And this is just one example. There are others. The way that there's quite a hostile environment to free speech around this issue in Japan right now, and as we've seen with attempted interventions in the McGraw-Hill textbook, attempts to sort of influence the narrative in other countries.
Author of the 2008 book, Writing Okinawa, Narrative Acts of Identity and Resistance.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mark, for organizing. As Chung Pu Choi has explained, the so-called comfort women issue, which is gender, gets in the way of masculinization efforts by Korean nationalists to overcome the emasculation of its colonial period. Choi makes clear the nationalist re-metaphorization of women's bodies as signifiers of a violated nation bypasses the question of individual agency and subjectivity. With my time here today, I'd like to introduce a writer who, in his fiction, records silences he sees in the historical record. No one demonstrates how inseparable Okinawa's history, a history of violence, is from its literature than Midori Mashin, a contemporary writer. In his Tree of Butterflies, published in 2000, he unravels layers of buried memories and experiences of a former Okinawan comfort woman. Along with depictions of elite Okinawan young men and women, the blood and iron core for the former, and Himeyuri student nurses in the latter case, Midorima includes comfort women who occupy an entirely different stratum. Midorima Shin's novella, Tree of Butterflies, concerns a lighted history of so-called comfort women through a portrayal of the marginalized life of a woman named Goze, who is a former Okinawan comfort woman suffering from dementia over 50 years after the war. Through a combination of Goze's memories and the attempts of Yoshiaki, a young man born in the village after the war, to uncover Goze's connection to a family member who had died during the fierce battle, the text pieces together the almost forgotten life of the former comfort woman and post-war prostitute. Midorima recovers Goze's subjectivity and humanity by engaging her most intense emotions of love. Lyrical scenes of Goze and Chosei under the titular Tree of Butterflies. Anger when village leaders ask Goze, sex slave to the Japanese military, to serve American soldiers during the occupation. She secretly wishes the Americans would rape every Japanese woman and child. And pain, the dull ache in the comfort women's abdomens, resound throughout the novella. Detractors of the comfort women issue may disregard Midorima's